Welcome, everybody, to the podcast that is called Combo Sports Talk. This is the fourth episode of Combo Sports Talk. This show, Combo Sports Talk, is co-hosted by Shawn Davisson and Dustin Tran. The guy that is speaking right now is Dustin Tran. Before you do anything else, though, please subscribe to this YouTube channel called Combo Sports Talk. There will also be the podcast version of Combo Sports Talk that will be released via Anchor. Anchor distributes the Combo Sports Talk podcast into many podcast apps, particularly Apple and Spotify. If you guys get Combo Sports Talk to 50 subscribers, we will open up a social media page specifically for Instagram and Twitter. The show Combo Sports Talk focuses on debate, discussion, and comedy topics that are based around football and basketball mostly. You guys did a great job supporting us, so continue to go ahead and do that. It will help the show and the podcast grow even more. Shawn, are you excited or what to do Combo Sports Talk by the man known as Sports Guy Talking?
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun episode. You said it. Let's get 50 subscribers. Let's get these social media pages running. There we can interact with the viewers and talk to them about their sports takes and maybe even bring a few onto the show and talk about them. But yeah, man, let's get started.
Yes, and you guys will also get exclusive content as well on there. We might even go on live streams depending on what happens here and there, but that's a long ways from now. So before I say anything else, though, I want to address what the topics will be today. All right, so it's going to be about the Game 3 recap of the Suns versus Bucks NBA Finals. And then we're going to be talking about letter grades for Giannis. We're going to be talking about what we think his grade should be. Then we're going to be talking about fact or fiction. That's a new segment that we're going to be doing. It's NFL only for this time, though. But then we're going to be talking about concerns for the Suns. And then we're going to be making Game 4 predictions for the Suns versus Bucks. That's going to be a key game in the series as well. All right, so before I say anything else, though, we are now officially ready to get Combo Sports Talk started up. All right, so what is this opening topic exactly about? Of course, it's going to be about the Suns versus Bucks NBA Finals, Game 3 recap. So, Shawn, with Game 3 of the 2021 NBA Finals finished up, obviously, like I said, the opening topic has to be about the Bucks cutting down the deficit to 2-1 in this series. We both predicted that the Bucks would win Game 3, so we were correct in that. However, we did not predict that this game would be a blowout. All right, so Giannis Antetokounmpo in Game 3, he was sensational. I know you can agree with me about that. He dropped 41 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists on 60.9% shooting and 76.5% from the free throw line. And we both said it. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, they had to show up, and they absolutely did that. And it certainly helped when Bobby Portis chipped in 11 points off the bench. Shawn, were you surprised or what to see that?
I think we kind of predicted this kind of thing would happen, but we didn't predict the blowout. We both predicted closer games, and the Bucks, second half just didn't even keep it close. They just took the ball and, it was game over for them. Like you said, the players that had to show up, they did show up. And Giannis, even, you can kind of tell a little bit he's tired and he's injured still, but he's putting all his effort into this. He's doing it for the city of Milwaukee. It was a must-win game, and that's what they did.
Exactly put. Shawn couldn't have said it any better. All right, so the Bucks, they did what they needed to do. But remember, guys, they still got to win Game 4 if they want a legitimate chance of winning the series. However, though, let's focus on what exactly happened in Game 3 and why the Bucks won Game 3 easily. We kind of covered that up a little bit. We'll also tell you guys what this means for both the Suns and the Bucks moving forward with the Bucks dominating Game 3. Before we get to say anything else, though, I have to go ahead and present you guys with the topic question. What was your reaction to the Bucks winning Game 3?
Yeah, bro. I mean, it was, and we had to see someone on the bench other than Pat Connaughton step up, and it was Bobby Portis this game, and Bobby Portis had a good game. You brought that up, and Bobby Portis was good throughout the regular season. He averaged a double off the bench, and he's been a good player for them. But he finally showed up, and it was about time he did. So, what is my reaction? You ask. I'm surprised in the fashion they did it, but I'm not surprised the Bucks won.
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised that they blew out the Suns the way that they did, but I'm not surprised that they won this game. Thank you, Bobby Portis, for showing up. We both said that Giannis Antetokounmpo needed help. The help did come this time. Greatly appreciated if you are a Bucks fan. But if you're the Suns, though, you had to be a little bit concerned with how the game became a blowout because once you took off the layers of shooting 50% from the 3-point line, now it's like, okay, now the odds have balanced themselves back out, and it's like they're not really as dominant as what they looked like in games 1 and 2. They look like an entirely different team. Are we sure this is the same CP3 we were looking at? Are we sure this is the same Devin Booker that could look like a Kobe Bryant in these NBA finals? What's he been doing? And are you sure this is really DeAndre Ayton? You know what I thought the biggest X factor was? DeAndre Ayton getting in foul trouble. The Bucks in games 1 and 2, they had no answers for DeAndre Ayton. And I know that the stats, they're not going to reflect that. But when you actually watch the game in pick and roll situations in the post, DeAndre Ayton was always making the right play. But with him in foul trouble, he couldn't be as aggressive. Defensively, he couldn't provide the energy that he provides. And with him on the bench, remember, Sarge, he can't play the rest of the series. They had to go to Kaminsky. We know, as both Hornets fans, that Kaminsky is a liability on the defensive end of the floor. He hasn't provided them any offense whatsoever. So if the Bucks are getting DeAndre Ayton in foul trouble, this is a whole new series right here.
Yeah, I mean, it was only a few minutes into the third quarter and he picked up his fourth foul and straight back to the bench. They had to end the half with him on the bench, and then they had to start the half with him on the bench pretty much. And he, like you said, he just wasn't as much as a factor in this game because he couldn't be aggressive. And he's his game. He's an aggressive ball player, and he just couldn't be that. And that allowed Brook Lopez to play his game, open up a little bit. Bobby Portis, who's the backup big man, open up and play a little bit. And like you said, Frank Kaminsky, he's too slow, can't get up and down the court, not great stamina, bad defensively. And if he doesn't bring anything on the offensive side, he doesn't bring anything to the squad. So Ayton getting in foul trouble was huge for the Bucks winning this game. And Devin Booker, he didn't shoot the ball great. And then Chris Paul, he was solid. He wasn't horrible. He was solid, but could have been better. And it's just not the Suns' night. And I want to bring up something else. We said Giannis had to shoot free throws better. That's exactly what he did. He was better this game at shooting free throws than he's been.
I did tell you guys that Giannis had to shoot free throws, so I got a little bit of pushback for it. But see what happens when Giannis hits free throws? It's going to open up everything else. It also helps that Middleton and Holiday, they got their games going. And it seems like the cycle with those two, it's like, yeah, they're going to play bad one night. Everybody then trashes on them. Then they show up, and then they progressively improve. Then they're like, oh my God, they're superstars in the making. And then they go back and play bad, and everybody goes back to trashing them. So the inconsistency that those two show, it's incredible. But hey, when both of them are showing up, and when Giannis is hitting his free throws, that's a recipe for success for the Bucks. Even Coach Budenholzer, he made his adjustments.
Yeah, and did you see the little graphic they brought up? It was Chris Middleton in game threes and how good he's been in game threes. It was like almost 40 points a game he's averaged or something around that. And just in game threes, because I don't know why, but I guess he's just dominant in game threes, but he's got to keep it up. He can't let back. And maybe it's because they're at home. Them being at home seemed to change a ton. And so they have to win game 4, because if they go back and play the Suns and Phoenix, they can't lose them if they lose this game. So, they just have to win at home, and they have to take one from the Suns in Phoenix. And can they do that yet? We just got to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. And when you look at Chris Middleton, he's a different player at home and on the road. Same thing with all the players on the Bucks, but it really stands out for him. At home, Chris Middleton with the Bucks fans, no pressure, he performs. He goes to on the road, he can't perform for whatever reason, and his shot is just not falling. But you know what also helps as well? Giannis shooting free throws at home versus on the road. When Giannis is shooting free throws at home, he hasn't really had a problem with them. You know why? Because the fans are not chanting 1, 2, 3, 4. They're counting all the way up to 10, 11, 12. While at home, you don't really hear those chants. It's just Giannis in the gym. It's silent in there. You don't hear anything. And that's why Giannis is hitting down his free throws.
Yeah. I mean, just them being at home changes a lot, and that's good for them, but it also is kind of worrisome because, maybe they struggle at Phoenix and they just lose the series because they can't win at Phoenix. So, it's bright side you see it, but also got to be worried a little bit. Also, you remember what I texted you? It's like just a minute or two in the game, and I texted you as Drew Holiday just looks more confident now, and he had a lot better game than he's had in any other games in the series. So Drew Holiday, he's just got to get his confidence back.
Yeah, when Drew Holiday plays with confidence, he's a much better player than when he plays with hesitation or doesn't play with the high basketball IQ. Games 1 and 2, he was playing with Russell Westbrook type efficiency, which is just jack up shots, just drive up to the lane recklessly. That's not his play style. His play style is fitting into the system and making the correct play when asked of him. And when he's asked to shoot from outside, when he's open, got to knock them down, which is what he did in game 3. So he has to know his role. Everybody on the Bucks have to know their role. Outside of Giannis, nobody on that team is a superstar. And let's be honest, if Chris Middleton was on a bigger market team, he wouldn't be considered a star either. If he went to somebody like a Lakers or something like that, he wouldn't be considered a star for him. He'd just be considered a really good player.
Yeah, and also what I saw was I don't know, I didn't see the number of how many fouls Chris Middleton drew, but I saw Chris Middleton was also more aggressive in driving to the lane because before he just wasn't getting any contact. I don't know if he was afraid of it or if he was just sitting shooting or what the problem was, but now he was driving, getting contact at the rim, and the Bucks just played a good basketball game, and this is how they should always play. For some reason, they might not keep playing like this, but if they keep playing somewhat around this, it'll be a good series to watch.
For sure. And look, the Bucks, they average 120 points in the regular season. They need to be averaging that in the playoffs. They have not been averaging at that. But in game 3, that's what they did. If they average more like that, they're going to at least push it to at least a game 6 or a game 7 if they're going to play like that. Because the Suns, as good as they are offensively, they're not going to be a team that's going to push to the 120s consistently. They rely on playing good defense. They rely on running good plays from Chris Paul, putting up guys in position to succeed, finding open shots. Now, I want to address about Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton, I've been critical of him for not being able to draw contact. Well, in game 3, he drew contact. That's what happened. See, good things happen when you draw contact, get yourself to the free throw line. Somebody outside of Giannis has to shoot free throws. I mean, come on. They got to be aggressive. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis, it felt like was the only one working towards the rim before, and now I guess Budenholzer, he was setting him up and saying, "You got to get to the basket." You see what happens when you drive? It puts Ayton in foul trouble. He's got to be out, which helps Brooke Lopez and Bobby Portis, our guys, play better because they don't have this massive DeAndre Ayton in the paint. I mean, you've said it 1,000 times. DeAndre Ayton's the most underrated big man in the league, and I agree with that. But and I think the finals is kind of putting that on a pedestal, but he couldn't play in this game, and it was a completely different ball game. So game 4, do they keep attacking, try and get him in foul trouble early? I'd say they do.
To wrap this up, yes, they need to draw fouls at DeAndre Ayton as often as possible. The Suns don't have a reliable 7-footer outside of DeAndre Ayton. They put him in foul trouble. They have to play Frank Kaminsky or else play small ball 5 with Jay Crowder at center. That's going to be ugly because they can just put Giannis at center and just have him post up, go to the rim, game over, basically. So the Bucks, they found that adjustment with Ayton. If they keep exploiting that adjustment, I don't know how the Suns are going to stop that.
Yeah, I mean, the Suns just can't stop that. I mean, I keep saying it, but the Bucks big men, they're able to play completely different whenever Aiton's not on the floor. They're able to play their own game. So maybe their goal for game 4, one of their keys to success, get Ayton out early.
For sure, for sure. And to wrap this up, I want to say this. The Suns had 15 turnovers, the Bucks only 9. Turnovers were the story of the game. All right, so that'll wrap up the recap of game 3 in the 2021 NBA Finals. Let's move on to the next topic, which will be about Giannis Antetokounmpo. We're going to be talking about his letter grade. So Giannis has played a sensational performance in the NBA Finals so far. He has played great. Okay, there is no argument about that. He has been performing like a poor man's version of LeBron James, which means he has been very productive so far. He has undeniably carried the Bucks into making this series competitive. Without Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks would not only be down 2-1, they'd be down 3-0 with 3 blowouts more than likely. Look, Giannis has averaged 34.3 points per game, 14 rebounds a game, and 4.7 assists per game on 62.5% shooting. He's only shot 22.2% from the three-point line, but, with somebody like Giannis, he doesn't need to shoot great from the three-point line. He just needs to shoot to the point where he can make it, and he has shot 66% from the free throw line, which is not bad considering how bad it was the first 2 games. So, like I said, his free throw shooting, it started out bad, but it has seemed to have gotten better. Before I say anything else, though, I have to go ahead and present you guys with the topic question. What letter grade should Giannis receive for his performance in the NBA Finals so far?
I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say he deserves an A. He's missing the A plus just because he's down in the series, but he deserves an A. I mean, he's put this team on his back, and it's like he's doing everything he possibly can for this team. You wanted him to shoot better free throws, he's shooting better free throws. You wanted him to have his players play better, his teammates are playing better because you know how dominant he is. And I guess he's just making them feel more confident, getting them open shots. And, Giannis, he's doing, like I said, everything to win these games. He's putting his body on the line.
I love the effort that Giannis Antetokounmpo has been putting. I'm going to give him an A. I was very tempted to give him an A plus. I just can't though with his free throw shooting. And yes, it got better in Game 3, but look, if Giannis is shooting over 70%, I would have given him an A plus. This man has played phenomenal in these NBA Finals. That is a fact, not an opinion. And I saw the stat where he has scored over 40 points in the NBA Finals twice, which is halfway towards MJ's record of scoring 40 points in NBA Finals in multiple games. MJ has 4, Giannis has 2. So Giannis has been carrying the load and scoring. And remember, he's doing this without a three-point shot, really, for the most part. I think he's only made 2 threes the entire NBA Finals, which seems unfathomable for a guy scoring 40 points in today's NBA. The man has done everything that he can. He's taken Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday to new heights that those guys would not be without him. And this guy has also adjusted against the Suns defense as well. Usually Giannis, he goes through the drive, he does the Euro step, dunks it, lays it up, or kicks it out. Obviously, the Suns have adjusted that. They're putting a wall around him. So you know what Giannis does? He either passes it to Middleton or Holiday, or he does a fake dribble handoff, or he's hanging out in the post, making them pay for guarding him in the post and drawing contact.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis is he's been, like you said, a LeBron James caliber player in these finals. And you said poor man's LeBron James. I'd even say he is playing like LeBron James. Like he's put this team on his back and he's just killing it. I mean, he's making people pay wherever they want to try and guard him. He's making them pay. He's scoring at will. You brought up the fact that he's only made like 2 3-pointers in this finals. I mean, that's crazy. You see, I mean, you shared the Michael Jordan side of 4 40-plus point games, and he was shooting 3-pointers. To get 40 points without really hitting the 3 ball, that amazes me because they know what's coming and you just can't stop it.
For sure. You are packing the paint if you're the Suns, and you still cannot stop Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have no defender that can slow down Giannis Antetokounmpo. Crowder on Giannis doesn't work. Bridges on Antetokounmpo definitely does not work. Whoever you play on the bench does not work, and a big does not work on Antetokounmpo as well. Although DeAndre Ayton has limited him to an extent, but he's also got to guard Lopez as well. Because remember, the Bucks have 2 7-footers, not one on the floor at the same time, and 2 versatile ones while they're at it too.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to keep your eye on Giannis, and whenever you focus on him too much, he makes you pay with all, Lopez, Holiday, Middleton, PJ Tucker, all those guys. He's going to make you pay if you focus in on him too much. And the main problem before was his teammates weren't making the shots. Now they are. And so, I mean, so you see what happens whenever his team is playing to expectations, not even above, like this is expectations for them. And they're just playing below expectations. Just Giannis, I got to give it to him. I got to tell him he's done great. Um, and you know, I would never give the Finals MVP to someone who lost a series, but if someone was going to get it, it should almost be Giannis right now.
Whoa. Be careful with that. And yeah, I agree. If you lose the finals, you shouldn't win MVP. But I feel like we've been saying that for too many years in a row now. In terms about the finals, MVP should go to a loser if we were not caring about who the winner was. I heard all those years, especially when the Warriors won the first title in the dynasty run, that LeBron should have won the MVP. So maybe we're starting to realize that, hey, best player versus best team tends to triumph over best player every time, even though the best player is putting up all these stats. You also have to realize a little bit that these stats could be padded up a little. I'm not saying Giannis is a stat padder. He's definitely not. But you have to remember that some of those 40 points they did score in game two, he did pad up some of them when the game was like when he was down 10 with like 2 minutes left to go and you're just going for twos, when you need threes at that point. So you got to remember that as well.
Yeah, but I don't think that's stat padding. I think that's him playing his game and just trying to bring him back. But I don't think like if they lost a series, Giannis should win Finals MVP. I'm just bringing up the fact that he should be in the conversation for it no matter what. But I do think most valuable player in the finals should go to the best player on the best team that series. So, I'm not a fan of giving it to a person who lost the finals. It's only happened once with Jerry West, but I just wanted to bring that out there, how good Giannis is playing, like, is on that most valuable player caliber level.
For sure, for sure. And another thing I like about Giannis is that while people are ripping Coach Budenholzer, Giannis has had the coaches back. Like he's defended Budenholzer a lot, which is not typical for a superstar player to doing that. So Giannis knows what the heck is going on. So good job for him for recognizing his surroundings. If he trashed on Budenholzer, the locker room would be divided up because some of these guys would not be succeeding without him. Middleton was not all that before Budenholzer was there. Holiday has had a career year this year. Bobby Portis has had a career year. So you have to realize that this man's done a lot. And Giannis, he just has excellent awareness around his surroundings.
Yeah, I mean, Budenholzer's gotten a lot of hate, and a lot of it's also come from how much he plays Giannis. And is he hitting that 40-minute benchmark? And I'd say that there's a reason he's not playing 40 minutes, and it's not because he's not good enough or doesn't deserve to. You watch the game and you'll see why he doesn't play 40 minutes. He grabs a rebound, sprints all the way down the floor, and then dunks it or does whatever. And then you know what? On fast breaks, even on the other team, we've seen it. He runs all the way down the court, gets chased down block, and he's just running back and forth as hard as he can, like no other player. Like he's just giving his all every time he goes down the court. He's just sprinting. His stamina is going to run out fast when he does that, but he's also getting points and he's putting up points. So, I'm not going to blame Budenholzer for how much effort Giannis is giving. If Giannis needs, I mean, you saw him in those the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game, and he was already asking to come out of the game and rest for a second. It was crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, come on, give the man a breather, man. Like
Mhm.
this dude is taking long strides too. So it's not even like he's just jogging or anything like that. No, this dude is taking like 9 steps to get to the whole court. So he's using a lot of energy. So let me wrap this up with this question that I got to ask you. So do you think that Giannis Antetokounmpo will tie or break Michael Jordan's record for most points scored or something like that in the finals? So 40-point score, should I rather say?
Ooh, tying, I would be on board with. I don't think he can break it just because I don't think there's enough games in the finals for him to break it. I think the Suns are gonna end up, and we can talk about this later, but I think the Suns are gonna end up closing out this series sooner rather than later. But if it goes to 7 games, I think Giannis can tie it, maybe even break it. So that's my thoughts on that.
I agree as well. listen, in order for Giannis to break the record, he's got to put up 5 games where he puts up over 40 points.
Mm.
Right now, that would mean that there would have to be a game 6 at minimum. There's no guarantee that the Suns will even lose another game in this series. There's no guarantee that will happen. So Giannis has got to force a game 6 at minimum. And not only does Giannis have to force a game 6, he has to score over 40 points every single time. I mean, that is inhuman. Not even LeBron James, who many people, not necessarily me, but many people consider LeBron James to be the greatest of all time or the second greatest of all time, depending where you have him ranked, wherever you have him ranked. So you have to understand the degree of difficulty. The fact that Giannis was able to do it for back-to-back games, amazing. I don't know if he can do it 3 games in a row just because it's too difficult to do that. Do you know how inhuman you have to be to even pull that off? I mean, come on.
And even LeBron James has down games in the finals, and Giannis just hasn't really had a down game yet. So maybe that means he's due for a down game, although necessarily I don't think that's true. But yeah, but so maybe he could have a down game soon, but I don't see it coming. I mean, the Suns just can't match him.
I think a down game will eventually come for Giannis. A down game meaning that he'll only score like 30 points and like 12 rebounds. That'll be a down game for Giannis Antetokounmpo. But yeah, look, if he breaks the record for Michael Jordan, win or lose the series, I'm probably going to give him an A+ for the series just because it was so hard to pull off. All right, so that basically wraps it up for the Giannis Antetokounmpo topic. So let's move on to the next topic. It's going to be simple to understand. All right, so it's going to be about fact or fiction. These are going to be 4 statements that will be made. It is NFL only. All right, so allow me to explain. That means that statements will be stated, and then the talkers will decide if that statement will be true or false. If it is true, it will be counted as a fact. If it is false, it will be counted as fiction. There will be 4 fact or fiction statements to do. It should take approximately 2 minutes total for each statement that's being debated about. 1 minute for you, 1 minute for me. Each guy will speak for approximately 1 minute per statement on the fact or fiction segment. Before I say anything else, though, I want to get this topic started up. All right, so let's start with fact or fiction number 1. Trevor Lawrence is being slept on.
I'm gonna say fact, but I also don't like. It's just not a lot of news that can come out right now. But people are just forgetting how good of a football player he is because he's been known as the number one pick forever. So like he's been known as the number one pick for 3-4 years. Like it's not a question. So, but people are just forgetting how great he's been and how great of a prospect he is. You know, best prospect even past Andrew Luck, like to the next guy on. Like he's that good. And people aren't, that's why I'm gonna say fact that he is being slept on. But it's also like not a lot of news can come out about him right now. So, you know.
I'm going to say definitely a fact, no question. You look at all the odds for Rookie of the Year. You hear all the sports media members talking. You hear all the sports bloggers, all the sports talkers. When they talk about the Rookie of the Year race, I'm not even saying that it will necessarily happen. Nobody is listing Trevor Lawrence to win Rookie of the Year. Nobody is even listing Trevor Lawrence to even take the Jaguars to the playoffs. I think that both of those things need to be seriously taken for real. Both of those things can happen. So, yes, he is definitely being slept on. And who knows? Maybe the Jaguars end up winning 9 or 10 games. I could definitely see that happening, especially with a coach like Urban Meyer. So, for sure, Trevor Lawrence is being slept on. Don't forget, he's got Travis Etienne, the same running back he had at Clemson, now in Jacksonville. So, don't forget about that as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think I think he's being slept on a little bit when it comes to Rookie of the Year odds and stuff. And people are forgetting how great he is. But I would probably just wait till preseason to really, then I think the news will hype up about him and he'll be everywhere once week 1 rolls around and be like, oh, how does debut go? That kind of stuff.
All right, let's just hope that'll be the case. All right, let's wrap that up. Let's go to fact or fiction number 2. Sam Darnold will start all 17 games without injury.
So, yeah, if he does not get injured, I think that's a fact. I think he will start all 17 games. I don't know if he'll close all 17 games, but I think he'll start all 17 games if he doesn't get injured.
All right, and I'm going to kind of disagree with you. All right, so I'm going to definitely say fiction. All right, so I believe Sam Darnold will get hurt anyways. But let's say without injury, I still believe that'll be fiction. Now, I'm not going to say that the Panthers are going to have a terrible year or anything like that. In fact, I think that my team, the Panthers, will have a decent year, but I think that Sam Darnold will be more liability rather than game manager. So I could see him getting benched at some point for a Will Greer or a PJ Walker for sure. And Sam Darnold, he was the worst starting quarterback the last 3 years in the NFL, basically, except for that one stretch in 2019. And that when after they started out 1-7 as a team, that's the only time Sam Darnold has ever shown any signs of competence at the NFL level. I say that history repeats itself. He'll be better than what he was on the Jets, but it won't be good enough. I don't even think he's going to be better than 2020 Teddy Bridgewater. So I see Sam Darnold being a liability. I see him at best being a 2017 version of Blake Bortles at best. But other than that, I see him getting benched at some point for a PJ Walker or Will Greer, like I said.
You know, I can see that. Like, I can for sure see that. But even when the Jets were as awful as they were with Sam Darnold, they never really benched him. So I'm just going to go and say that he won't, like I said, he might not finish every game, but I think he'll start every game if he does not get injured.
Dude been too privileged for too long. He wasn't even that good at USC either. All right, let's move on to fact or fiction number 3. Tua Tagovailoa will be benched by November.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna say fact. I think they go back to him eventually, but I think they bench him a little bit. Just I don't think Tua's a good quarterback at all. Like, I think he's a bust, and the Dolphins are trying to hold on to every strand they can, trying to make him not a bust. But I mean, I know people will say it's too early, but honestly, I've been predicting he'll be a bust since college. I don't think he's just got a game that translates well, and no hate to him. I like the kid. I just don't think he's that guy for them.
I think you were a little too nice to Tua Tagovailoa. I'm going to definitely say fact. They got a new backup quarterback, Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett can play, fellas. I mean, I'm not going to say he's the greatest in the world, but if you put him on the right team, if you put him on a good team, he's a playoff quarterback type of player. They're going to bench Tua Tagovailoa by November. In fact, I'm even going to go out on a limb and say that Tua Tagovailoa will be benched by mid-October. Listen, the dude cannot cut it. He does not have an NFL arm. His accuracy has been vastly overrated. His mobility has also been overrated as well. And yes, they've tried to put a good team around Tua Tagovailoa. But if you don't have good mobility, if you don't have a good release throwing the football, if you don't got a good arm in today's NFL, then you can't play. Simple as that. And also, Jacoby Brissett also has ties with Brian Flores, their head coach. They've been on the same team before. They're going to play the best guy available. Brian Flores has made that clear. Jacoby Brissett's going to be the star before November. In fact, I even see Jacoby Brissett starting by October. And don't forget, Tua Tagovailoa is injury prone as well. I predicted he would be a bust before the draft. I'm still going to predict that he will be a bust now.
Yeah, man. I like what you said there. Jacoby Brissett is definitely slept on. He could play playoff football, and I don't think Tua can.
Yeah, for sure. And look, the goal is to win a Super Bowl, right? Like, we can all agree with that. Tua is not going to be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Look, Jimmy G, I'm going to use him as an example. All right. He's basically the minimum threshold that you can have to be able to go to a Super Bowl in today's NFL. I don't think Tua Tagovailoa at his best even comes close to him. So I just want to make that clear. So yeah, he's going to be benched. They just have to go with the best option for the playoffs. They're a playoff caliber team. They just need a better quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa is not it. All right, and let's go to fact or fiction number 4. This will be the last one. The Washington football team will have 3 or more different quarterbacks start games for them this season.
I'm going to say fact. I think that they're going to switch around a lot. I think they're going to, go because last year they had a lot of different starting quarterbacks, and they didn't even start what some people thought was their best guy in Taylor Heineke till the playoffs. And he showed up great, but he might not even start this year, but they might go back to him. And I think there's going to be a lot of flip-flop with them. I'm going to say there could be even 4 different starting quarterbacks, but I'm going to say there's going to be at least 3 different starting quarterbacks.
This is definitely fact. No questions asked. Why? You got Fitzpatrick, you got Kyle Allen, and you got Taylor Heineke. Okay, we all know about the Fitz cycle. Okay, the good fits, the bad fits. He's never been a guy that can consistently be in the starting lineup. He'll have a couple of games where he plays well, and a couple of games where he's really bad. So no question to me that they're going to make a switch at some point. And then you look at Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen, 2 injury-prone quarterbacks, and 2 quarterbacks that aren't really that good. I compare Kyle Allen to a Matt Moore, a Blake Bortles, a Ryan Fitzpatrick type of player. So I see him giving up his spot at some point, but we all know how much Ron Rivera loves him. He loves him a lot. Okay. And Heineke as well, he's going to get some playing time as well, just because of the fact that he played so well in that playoff game against the Buccaneers. So you're going to have to consider that as a factor as well. So yes, they're going to have at least 3 different starting quarterbacks this year. They might even get 4 because their O-line is not even that good either.
Yeah, injury you got to account for, and just Fitzpatrick always getting benched, you have to account for.
For sure, for sure. All right, so that wraps up the fact or fiction segment. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. Let's move on now back to the NBA Finals. Let's talk about concern for the Suns. All right, so the Suns just got blown out in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. That happened for a multitude of reasons, but either way, the Suns have got to have a sense of urgency. The players on the Bucks are starting to get going now. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been phenomenal in the NBA Finals, and there is no easy answer to stop him. Mike Budenholzer for the Bucks even made his coaching adjustments. Shots are not falling out for the Suns. The Bucks bench finally showed up in Game 3. The help for Giannis Antetokounmpo seems to have arrived. With all of that being said, this now leads me to ask this topic question. Is it time for the Suns to panic?
I'm going to say no. I mean, don't panic. Bad things happen when you panic. Just know that you have to play better. Know you have to be better. And the Suns have to fix their problems. I think Monty Williams is fully capable of fixing those problems. But panic, I'm going to say it's not time for panic yet.
And I'm going to kind of disagree with you. I think it is kind of time to panic. And not necessarily panic, but you need to have huge concerns, okay? And here's why. All right, so they have no answer for Giannis Antetokounmpo. The help for Giannis has arrived. Maybe you can scheme and adjust against those guys, but you have no answer for Antetokounmpo. You just got no answer for that. Also, the Suns only won Game 2 because they shot 50% from the three-point line. Do you understand how hard that is to do as a whole team to shoot 50% from the three-point line? And also, in Game 1, they shot 96% from the free throw line. Do you understand, again, how hard that is to do? Those are 2 outliers that the Suns accomplished. And those games weren't even blowouts in Games 1 and 2. Now they regress back to the mean, and look what happens. The Bucks absolutely blew them out. And the Bucks, like you said earlier, were not even over exceeding expectations. They were just meeting expectations. So, yes, there is time for a major concern, considering the fact you just got blown out by 20 points. And yes, I know that they're still up 2-1, but if they lose Game 4 and head back into Phoenix in Game 5, there's no guarantee that the Suns can just get their momentum back and get their mojo back.
Yeah, and there's obviously concern there. I just don't think it's time to panic. Panic is like, oh, it's burning, crashing down. We got to get out of here. I don't think it's like that. I think the Suns need to make adjustments. DeAndre Ayton got out early, and that changed kind of the way of the game. And you said you're not going to stop Giannis, or you can scheme it. Try and do your best, but we know that's not really going to happen. Take out the other guys. Take out Holiday and Middleton. We saw it happen when you took them out, and they weren't good. Booker also had a bad game, and if Booker has his bad games, but he also will have his good games. And I'm going to say Suns. I'm not going to make my prediction yet, but because we'll do that later on, but Suns, they're not going to just let the Bucks stomp at them while the Suns are away.
Yeah, and I see where you come from, where you say, don't worry about it too much. But the reason why I'm saying worry about it is because the longer the series, and we've noticed this for the Bucks, the longer the series, the stronger they get. Okay, you look at the first round against the Miami Heat. They started blowing out the Heat more often as the series went on. Then you look at them against the Nets. They were down 2-0 against the Nets. And yes, I know Kyrie Irving got injured, but still, the Bucks got stronger as the series progressed. Giannis started hitting more free throws. The team started playing better. Then the conference finals, Giannis gets hurt. What happens? The team still has strong resolve, and they overcome their deficit, or rather, should I rather say, their struggles. They end up winning in 6. So the longer the series, the stronger the Bucks get. So this is kind of a must-win for the Suns in game 4. And although if they do lose game 4, I'm still going to say Suns in 6. I'm basically going to say Suns in 6 no matter what. That was my prediction before the NBA finals happened. I'm still going to stick by that no matter what. But I'm just saying, like, if the Bucks win game 4, they got the momentum heading back into Phoenix. And you also got to remember this as well. If the Bucks win games 4 and 5, teams that typically go down 0-2 and then win 3 straight, they don't typically lose series. That's something very rare. So you also got to remember that as well if you're the Suns. So yes, it is kind of almost time. And also you have to remember as well, DeAndre Ayton being in foul trouble. If the Bucks can get DeAndre Ayton in foul trouble, the Suns have no answers for that. They don't have an answer on the roster.
Yeah, and I know what you're saying, and I'm not saying it's not time for concern. It's time for concern. It's not time to panic. So that's my main thing. Don't panic. Fix what you need to fix, because if you don't, then you're just going to lose the series. But there's definitely room for concern, and they need to fix that. So, like you said, Ayton has to stay out of foul trouble, but he also needs to stay aggressive and play his game. So you got to find a fine line between that. And it all starts with stopping Giannis at the top. And if Giannis doesn't even jump in the paint, there's no room for Ayton to even begin in foul trouble. It begins by slowing down Giannis. You can't stop an unstoppable force. Maybe try slowing him down. But I think the key to success for them, I said it for the Bucks, was stopping or getting DeAndre Ayton out. For the Suns, it's stopping Middleton and Holiday, because we've seen that's very possible.
Yeah, stopping Middleton and Holiday, that's doable. Stopping Giannis, that is not doable. But since we kind of seem to agree that it's time for concern for the Suns, but not necessarily panic, when do you think it is time for the Suns to panic? And don't say never, because, sometimes that's just not a viable answer.
I mean, I'm not going to say never. It's as soon as the Bucks take one from the Suns in Phoenix, you have to panic. I mean, that's when, because we've seen they can play at home. They're going to be a tough team to play whenever the Bucks are at home. If they take one from you when you're in Phoenix, you gotta keep your eyes open. That's when it's time to panic. You have to, because you can't let them take your home court. You can't.
For sure. I'm going to say game 5 is the time to panic if the Bucks are up 3-2 heading back into there. We just saw how hard it is to beat the Bucks at home. Not even the Nets could even pull that off. They had a really good team. They couldn't even win in Milwaukee once. Okay, so beating the Bucks in their stadium, in their arena, should I rather say, is very difficult to pull off. So the Suns, they have to take care of business in their home games. Maybe they can try to steal a game at Milwaukee, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep, I agree with that for sure.
All right, so basically to conclude what we are saying, we're saying that the Suns should not panic just yet, but if they lose game 4, then it is kind of time to be really, really, really concerned. And if they lose game 5, yeah, now it's time to panic, because now you're in big trouble if you're the Phoenix Suns. So we agree about that, though.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're just taking a different approach because you seem a little bit more optimistic that the Suns can make their adjustments. I'm not that optimistic, just simply because Frank Kaminsky is a liability. If he doesn't give you anything on offense, he's not giving you anything at all. Okay, and offensively, he doesn't even give you that much either. He might knock down a 3-pointer off the bench, but other than that, he's a liability from the floor. Simple as that. So if they get DeAndre Ayton in trouble, that's really the only answer they have. Maybe they can try to play Jay Crowder at the 5, but that's going to be cringeworthy to see because he's just going to get beaten by Giannis every single time.
Shawn, I mean, Aiton is kind of like Aiton plays a huge impact on this team, and people don't really realize it. But Aiton's like one of the biggest impacts in this whole series. And if you take Aiton out, we see what happens. If he stays in, we see what happens.
Yeah, that is why it is not time yet for the Suns to panic, like we said, but they need to be concerned with themselves just a little bit. All right, so let's go on to the final topic of episode 4. Let's talk about Suns versus Bucks NBA Finals Game 4 prediction. So we've talked a lot about the NBA Finals. We're going to continue talking about it. That's the main thing going on. All right, so with the Bucks winning Game 3, they are now only down 2-1. Game 4 is crucial in terms of how the series will play out. The Bucks now have a golden opportunity to tie up with the series if they win Game 4. The Suns, though, have 2 home games left. Obviously, Game 4 of the 2021 NBA Finals is the most important game so far in the series. This has been an interesting NBA Finals matchup, to say the least. With all that being said, this now leads me to ask this type of question. Who will win Game 4 of the 2021 NBA Finals, Suns or Bucks?
Oof. I mean, this is a big game. It's either going down 3-1 or tying the series 2-2. And I keep swinging myself back and forth on this, even the more we talk. I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to have the Bucks keeping their momentum and roll with it and beat the Suns in a close game this time. I'm going to say score prediction 118, 114.
Wow. All right. So it looks like we're going to agree with that, even on the point differential. And I swear that we did not look at the scores beforehand. I didn't ask you for the scores beforehand. You didn't get to see my scores beforehand. All right. So yes, I got the Bucks winning Game 4. Now, Giannis, he's not going to score over 40 points this time, but he will score close to that. I see him scoring that 36, 37, 38 points range. I see Middleton getting hot from the floor, and I see the Suns struggling with DeAndre Ayton in foul trouble yet again. They're going to be attacking him over and over again. They're going to try to get some switches, and they're going to try to attack Ayton in the paint. They're going to try to get him in foul trouble. But I will say this, though. Chris Paul will step up. Devin Booker, I still see him being cold from the floor, although he'll shoot better than what he did in Game 3, but it will not be enough for the Suns to win Game 4. It will be close to. I got you with that. It will be close. I got the Bucks winning this game 120-116 with Giannis playing sensational yet again.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to account for Giannis playing great. You got to account for them being at home. And even if Ayton does play, and he plays a lot, you still got to account for Holiday and Middleton playing at home and how good they are at home.
For sure. So we basically agree with what's going to happen in Game 4. I actually almost picked the Suns to win, but then I was like, you know what? I'll just pick with the whole home team. I think that the Suns can win in Milwaukee later on or something like that. So I'm just going to keep that simple. I'm not going to overthink it. All right. So that wraps up Game 4 predictions that we had. So this was a heavy NBA Finals topic that we did. It was a lot of coverage that we did, but I'm glad that we did that. It paid off for sure. So thank you for watching episode 4 of Combo Sports Talk. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the topics that were presented. Let us know down in the comment section below on what you guys thought about this podcast that was done. There was a lot of NBA talk yet again in this episode, but that will happen when the NBA Finals are happening. It just has to be the main focus of Combo Sports Talk right now. Shawn, what would you want to add on to what I just said?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And we'd love to talk football. We love talking football. We talk about it all the time between me and him. Big football fan, but the focus right now has to be the NBA, with the NBA happening, the NBA draft, and just not a lot of news coming out for football.
Agreed. And remember, guys, subscribe to Combo Sports Talk. If you guys get us to 50 subscribers, we will open up our social media pages, specifically Instagram and Twitter. So again, thanks for watching this podcast. This has been one fun show to produce. We will be back here sometime before Game 5 of the NBA Finals, depending on what will happen. Both of us will be running on tight schedules this week, so we'll see if we can make it. But I am very hopeful that we can make it. And we will have new topics to present to you guys. If you guys really hated the fact that we talked about NBA Finals basically all episode, I'll promise you that next episode, that will not necessarily be the case, but we still will have a lot of coverage to do. So before I say anything else, though, I just want to say that you guys have done a great job subscribing to Combo Sports Talk, and I really appreciate it when you guys do that. So again, please subscribe, please drop a like, please comment down below. The more you guys do this, the more that the channel grows. So I cannot be thankful enough. That's really what I got to say. Peace out.